the whole evening. So me and my cat.
You better be putting on a song and a dance list. That's what I expect.
I'll have a debate with myself. All right.
Awesome. Yep. Good. Great.
Right.
Okay.
We're at 5. Shall I let everybody in from the waiting
Let
room?
everyone in. Good luck, everybody. This is going to be
Thanks.
a great evening.
Break a leg.
Break a leg.
Have fun.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this. That's great.
Thank you.
Just as people are coming in, I think tonight, Mark, we have about 90 people who have RSVP'd. So it's a great number for us. I don't know if we've had in this whole time, I don't think we've quite had this many people on a Zoom. So welcome everybody who's coming in.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Pat. Nice
Hello.
to see you.
I'm still around.
Of course you
Glad for
are,
that.
Pat.
You'll
Of
be here
course
forever.
you
We
are.
got our first shots.
All right.
Hey, congratulations.
Great news.
Yeah.
Great to hear. When do you get your second?
28th, I think it is, of February.
Oh, wonderful. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Anybody else got their shots yet? Emily, have you got Oh, Marianne, you did?
Yeah, I get my second one on Saturday. So I'm almost fully vaccinated.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
I'm scheduled for the 16th of this month, so I'm excited.
Good.
Oh, Anthony, fantastic. Is that through the high school?
Well, the high school has a slower rollout, but as a disabled veteran, the VA provides. So my father already received his second one today, actually on his birthday, and then I'll be receiving my first one on the 16th.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's so, there's like that glimmer of hope, as I hear more people telling me that they're getting it, more people.
Definitely.
And I know it's been tough for people trying to get their loved ones and their parents vaccinated. I mean, it's just
Right.
like trying to get concert tickets or something. People are like refreshing. Oh, it's exhausting.
The PPC Wellness Group in Austin and Chicagoland is working on trying to get vaccinations for the near west side of Chicago, or the west side nearest to us. And I've been working with the Leaders Network and some others to try to get that, because there's a lot of fear still in the Black community about getting the vaccine. And so they're trying to dispel the fear and get them lined up to get the vaccinations. And it's kind of
100%.
exciting to work with them.
Extremely important, Patricia. Extremely important.
Just want to mention, we were told by my doctor, I'm like really borderline diabetic, so I take metformin. And if you actually are on any of those drugs, you can be in the next group.
Oh, good to know, Todd.
Is it just diabetic medication, or is it all pre-existing conditions?
I'm not sure. I know it's diabetic medications, but it may be others as well. Especially ask your doctor. Because
You qualify.
my wife, I'm sorry.
No, I was telling Wanta she qualifies. Her and I have similar immunodeficiencies, so she would qualify.
Oh yeah, I would think if you're that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, Marianne, should we get started? We're at 5:04. Mark, I assume you'll just keep letting people in?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Marianne Bender. I am the president of the board of the Oak Park River Forest Chamber of Commerce. We are thrilled to see all of you. We had over 91 people register, so this is super exciting for us. I am a podiatrist. I am not a politician, so I am eager to hear what all of you have to say in a very fun and lighthearted way. All right, we are going to turn it over to Mark, and he's going to give us some chamber updates before we get started.
Hi, I'm Mark, Program Manager at the Oak Park River Forest Chamber of Commerce. I just want to mention a few other things we have upcoming to give some of those who are new to us a flavor of what we're about. So flavor is the word. One thing we do every other week is a takeout lunch pickup. Been doing that since last May or June. So we will be at Khyber Pass next Friday, and then at another local restaurant every other Friday for the indefinite future. So we invite anyone to join us, and you can go to our website, oprfchamber.org, to get signed up for that. We also have our Women in Business group meeting next Friday, a collaboration with some of the other chambers in the immediate surrounding area. We've got a new member get together coming up in 2 weeks. If anyone out there is interested in getting to know what it's like to be part of the chamber and what we can do for your business or organization, that's going to be 2 weeks from today. We also have a series, Chamber 101, 102, 103, emphasizing different ways to make the most of chamber membership for businesses and nonprofits. So those are on our calendar. And then last thing I want to mention, event-wise, is 1 month from today, 4 weeks, I should say. We're going to be doing this again with candidates for village president for both Oak Park and River Forest. That's not on our calendar yet because we're just finishing the graphics for it, but that will be precisely 4 weeks out from today. Last thing I'll mention is that we're doing a raffle today, as we often do at chamber events, to promote our businesses with gift certificates and so forth. So stay tuned to the very end when Marianne will announce our raffle winners. That's it from me, but thanks for joining us.
All right, Liz is going to introduce herself and also explain what's going to happen tonight.
So my name is Liz Holt. I'm the Executive Director at the Oak Park River Forest Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody tonight. I'm thrilled that people took the time out of their schedules at the end of the long day to come and join us and get to know the candidates for trustee here in Oak Park. I want to welcome other members of our board of directors. If you are on the board at the chamber, can you please just put up your hand so people can see you? We have a mighty board of 20 people. It's a lot of people working on your behalf, advocating for you in this community. So thank you to those people for coming. I also want to welcome members of our chamber and members of the broader business community. This is one of those events where we open it up to anybody who wants to come along. It's not exclusive to members, so welcome to everybody. Today we are here in the spirit of our business after hours. Anybody who's been to a bar at the chamber knows that we usually have about 100, 120 people getting together and eating, drinking, hugging, kissing, having a great time for 2 hours. I'm sure we all can't imagine doing that right now. I can't wait until we can do it again. But for now, we're here in Zoom. I'm thrilled to see you all, and we want to have an evening in that same spirit. So in that spirit, we are here to get to know the candidates. We're here to get to know the candidates as people who live here and work here and have families here. Some have grown up here. I want people to get to know the candidates before you get to know them as politicians. We've had a rough 4 years in this country. We've had more than enough politics for a lifetime, but we've got still a couple more months to go. So, you know, this is just about getting to know people in our community, people who are dedicated to helping their community. I know I would love to ask every single candidate why the heck you would do this thankless job. That's what we're going to start off with. So anyway, welcome to everyone. That's what we're going to do tonight. So what we're going to do is, once we've done some really general introductions, we're going to use the breakout rooms. We've got 6 candidates. We've got 6 breakout rooms. Each room will have a facilitator, which is a chamber board member. They're there to just keep the conversations going. They're there to make sure that the conversations kind of stay on track. I do want to confirm that the facilitators do have the, I guess, ability to remove anybody from the breakout room if things do get a little bit heated. So we hope that we don't go there. I just have to say it as a matter of due diligence. Again, this is casual conversation. When you get into the breakout room, we would love for you to turn on your camera. There's nothing worse than being on a Zoom and talking to black screens. So please turn on your camera. If it's not too noisy, please turn on your microphone. We want this to be a conversation. It's not a forum for any disgruntled feelings. This is about, if you were at a casual networking event, what would that be like? I do ask that you keep your comments short. We're going to be in the breakout rooms for maximum 10 minutes. We want to make sure everybody who has a comment and wants to make a comment can make a comment. So please be mindful of that. And I think that's about it. You won't hear much more from me. I'm going to be running the Zoom rooms. So Mark, did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
All right. Okay, I'll hand it back to Marianne.
Okay, so now we're ready for some fun. I am going to go down the list of the candidates. Please tell us all your full name because it's going to be hard enough for me to just say your first name. So please tell us your full name. And then we have an icebreaker question for you. If you could be vaccinated against anything other than COVID, what would it be? And you can be serious, you can be fun, whatever you choose to do. Okay, if everybody can mute themselves, and we are going to start with Anthony.
Hello, everyone. Again, such a pleasure and honor to be here. I thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. And I thank the Chamber of Commerce for everything that you continue to do for the community. So again, my name is Anthony Clark. I do have a middle initial V for Vincent. My father grew up and he loves Italian culture. So my name was originally supposed to be Vincente, but my mom put a stop to that. So we're Anthony Vincent Clark. But the question, the icebreaker, as a teacher, we use these all the time. Sometimes students don't engage, but I'm going to engage. And it's an interesting question. If you could be vaccinated against something, what would it be? And I don't want to give a long-winded answer, but in my mind, I'm thinking that all of our life experiences build us up for who we are, our failures, our triumphs, so on and so forth. So there's not too much that I would want to be vaccinated against. Definitely COVID, and I'm glad I'm getting that. So I guess I would have to say, if I needed to be vaccinated against something, what would it be? It would be fake news. As a teacher, education is extremely important. Accessing information is extremely important. And when we make decisions, we want to make informed decisions. So if I could vaccinate myself and possibly even provide vaccinations to others, it would be against fake news and false information. But I still want us to be able to make mistakes, still want us to pick ourselves up and live, but definitely live and learn with the right information, if that makes sense.
Super, thank you, Anthony. Okay, we're moving on to Wanta.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me this evening. So the first thing, if I were to be vaccinated against anything, the first thing that came to my mind, and I'm just going to say it, it would be obesity. I'm like, can someone come up with that vaccine? I'd be first in line because I've struggled with weight my entire life. So that was the first thing that came to mind. But that's my honest, authentic answer.
Awesome, thank you.
That's called calories, right? I think we can just do a baseline. Everybody would say calories. COVID and calories right there.
Right there, that's it.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Stephen.
Hey, everybody. This is Stephen Morales. Great to meet you all, and thank you so much again for agreeing to do this. I'm very much looking forward to the conversations we have tonight. In terms of something I would want to be vaccinated against, when you're in this arena, you get hit from a lot of different directions. So, I think I'd love to be vaccinated against doubt. A lot of times you feel like, oh man, maybe that person just brought up a really good point, and I really need to think about, the things I said, and I really take in a lot from everything I hear. So, vaccination against doubt, that would be a good one for me.
All right, thank you. Lucia, you're up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, chamber members, and good evening, everyone, fellow candidates as well. My name is Lucia Robinson, and this is a pretty easy question for me right now, I think, just because we're in the midst of all that we're doing as candidates. I'd love to be vaccinated against fatigue. I would love to just be able to do everything that I have to do in a 24-hour period and not have to sleep, because I feel like there just isn't enough time in the day to get everything done. So that would be my answer.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to Chibike.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. All right. Great. Hi, my name's Chibi K. Enya. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for having us. It's an honor to be in the presence of all you great minds and business-minded people. So I'm definitely glad to be here in your presence. So I would say if I had to think of something, it would be an anti-vaccination to close-mindedness. I think it's something that we all come to some type of apprehension, or we think a certain way just because we expect that an outcome is going to come out of, you know, the other person's mouth or whatever somebody else is going to say. So we already come with a closed-minded view to the table, whatever table that is. And, you know, it's not just us as adults, it's with kids as well. So I always try to tell my kids to come with an open mind. You know, this is something you have to give a shot. You have to give it a chance. If you don't like it, I understand, you know, but at least you gave it an opportunity. So at least come to these things with an open mind.
Awesome. Thank you. Ravi?
Thanks, Marianne. And my name is Ravi Barakat. And thank you so much to the Chamber for organizing this opportunity. And thank you all for taking the time to listen to us. Hope we've got something of substance to tell you as well. So in terms of things that I'll vaccinate myself against, and I often tell my wife that, you know, I'm a collector of experiences. So I don't mind having any experience once, as long as I can survive it. So I can't think of anything specific that I will vaccinate myself against. I'm open to all kinds of experiences. But if I'm forced to, then I would say against ignorance and negativity. So two things that I would vaccinate myself against would be ignorance and negativity.
All
Thanks.
right. I think I got everyone, right, Liz? Mark? Okay, good answers, everyone. I would have answered something sillier, so those were great. We are going to move on to our breakout rooms. So Liz will split us up.
Mark, I think we have enough time to do 10 minutes per breakout room. So I think that's what we'll do. And so I guess we'll get started. Facilitators, please text me if there's anything going wrong that I can't see. I will be here kind of making sure that any latecomers get let in and we put them into a room. So, all right,
Liz?
Here we go. Yes.
A question, are the candidates going to rotate between rooms?
They are.
I see, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. So we will have 6 rooms, 6 facilitators. When you get into your room, you're going to be there in the same room the whole evening. So you're really going to get to know your people, and the candidates will rotate through.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, everybody. Hi. Hi there.
Hello.
How are y'all doing?
Very good.
Good.
Okay, so I think I got 10 minutes. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to sort of be leading this, or I think Emily was supposed to be in as well, right?
I think Emily is coming in. This is Jenny, but I'm going to help her out. So maybe we give her a second, but
sure.
Looks like a good group of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for taking the time out. I think that might be her coming in.
Super.
Oh, nope. We could get started though.
Yeah.
How about we? Yeah. Do you had the list of questions?
Oh, yeah. I have a list of questions, but I'm happy to also just kind of make this a two-way dialogue. I mean, not to kind of give you, but let me give you a little bit of about me. That works. All right. So, as I said, I'm Stephen Morales. I'm running for the village trustee position. My platform. Hey, Emily. Do you want me to pause while you get everything?
Okay. Sorry, they put me in room 6 and they already kicked me out, so I'm in my correct room now. But I'm so sorry. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. No.
Don't let me interrupt you.
No worries. Yeah. So I was just saying, so, I'm running for trustee. Liz asked the question about why. And that probably the easiest way to answer that is about my kids. So my family moved here 5 years ago. I've got 2 kids, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And the way things have been going, not just with us, but in Oak Park, but now, right? And it's a chance when we can really kind of break out as Oak Park in a lot of ways, both from a business recovery standpoint, which I'm assuming everyone here is very interested in thinking about how do we recover as businesses and economically. Also from just racially, we had a lot that we went through in 2020, and Oak Park has always been on the forefront of thinking through how to solve racial issues, how to drive diversity. And so I wanted to be able to contribute to that for my kids, so that 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, when they look back on their time in Oak Park, or come back here or live here, they're like, wow, yeah, I remember when things really kind of turned around for us. So I do want to just say one thing. I've essentially got a platform that's focused on 3 elements. One is recovery, which I've kind of talked about, business recovery, racial recovery. The second is about making the government much more responsive. And the third piece is reimagining what Oak Park's going to be like. So really kind of focusing on the kids and also, a lot of people who are still here and want to think about, okay, well, what does a post-pandemic Oak Park look like? Are we going to have people that are not commuting to the city as much, right? Are we going to need some homeschooling spaces that we haven't had before? Just because who knows, we may end up in another pandemic, right? Or something else might happen. So I just like to be prepared for things like that. And I can go into a lot of reasons why those are my things, but yeah, I do want to make this really interactive. So if you guys have questions on that, maybe we could start there.
I have a question, Stephen. Can you just expand a little bit on your Reimagining Oak Park initiative? It sounds like you touched on it a little bit. You're hoping to just reimagine Oak Park to be a better place for our children as they grow up.
Yeah. So within that, and this will come out in a few weeks, there's a couple areas where I think we definitely need to think about how we can be leading the way. Sustainability. So I've been a commissioner on the Citizen Commission for the Environment and Energy Commission for the past 3 years I've been here. Also just making sure that from a perspective of policing, which is a very important issue in this election, how are we kind of reimagining what our police department is going to look like in the future? But also development. I just gave a webinar last week. If you haven't seen it, you can go to my website. It's on my blog. Had a great commentary from a couple of architects here in town, just about how do we kind of raise the bar for the development that's coming into our town. So we're not just sort of building blocks of apartments, but we're actually building things that are attracting people to come here, both to visit as well as live. So those are kind of the three broad strokes of the reimagining piece.
Great. Anyone have any specific questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Christine.
So I'm asking this question on behalf of my client, Arthur Paris from Carnival Grocery. And so I'm curious to see what thoughts you had on business recovery, and specifically what role you think the village will play in helping our businesses recover, and in his case, helping him stay afloat with heavy competition coming in. So with the second piece. So it's kind of a 2-part question. Sorry for the crying child in the background.
That's fine. Yeah, no, and I totally understand, having 2 kids of my own, there's plenty of stuff going on in the background in most of my Zoom calls. Look, so I think that the current design of our village business supports can be overhauled. With COVID, I think there was a stop and a start around a business recovery task force. Number one thing for me is I want to put a task force in place that not only helps our businesses recover from the pandemic, but also kind of puts them in a great position to continue to thrive and do really well. following the pandemic, and part of that is also being very competitive within the confines of Oak Park, but also with competition outside of Oak Park, like Amazon. So I think that the village, if you think about a lot of the drivers that we've had in terms of what our business, the village's business involvement has been, it's really been governed a lot by filling storefronts and creating storefronts. And we have to recognize that, you know, changes come in terms of commerce. There's a lot more e-commerce happening. How can we sort of revise our business districts, you know, our village supports, so that we're actually helping a lot of our businesses shift to e-commerce? For Carnival, like, how can we help them potentially get into more delivery, right? Peace is coming with scale, and they're able to do a lot of things that that they probably don't need village support to do. But for an organization like Carnival and other small businesses, there's opportunities to provide them with supports that makes them competitive, again, within Oak Park. And that could be selling to Oak Park, but also selling outside of Oak Park. Like, do we have sort of a standard e-commerce platform that we could offer? Could we, one of my good friends from New York has a program called We Locals. I know we've got a lot of loyalty cards here, but things like that actually have demonstrated a lot of success in a lot of different neighborhoods in New York.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah.
I know you said part of your platform is about reimagining.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'd like to hear from you is just what have been your pandemic learnings? And when you say reimagine Oak Park as we come out of the pandemic, because I'm assuming that means you're not expecting that things will just go back to exactly what they were.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that many people are using this as an opportunity to learn how things can be different. And so I kind of like to hear a little bit more about what can be different, how can we reimagine, and how could you get those things accomplished?
Yeah, great questions. So just to give a little bit of background, I work in healthcare. I've been working in healthcare for about 20 years, 20 plus years, and been doing a lot of research around the pandemic. A lot of the clients that I work with are interested in figuring out, okay, well, how is the pandemic going to affect different services in the market, or potentially even affect the way we deliver healthcare, right? You know, what drugs are going to be the ideal drugs to use? So to take your two questions, first, you know, how do I reimagine it? So I do think that there's going to be probably a lot greater opportunity for people to work from home. I think we're already seeing that's transforming. Like, a lot of people are saying, if I don't have to go back into the office, I'm not going to go back, or I'll be the last one back in the office. And so what does that mean in terms of the office space that we have within our homes, right? How do we going to give people an opportunity to have a place to work if they don't want to work directly in their homes, or they need to share a space in their home, you know, with a kid who might be in school? The other thing that I'm also thinking about is just if we expect to see, you know, how our community is going to be potentially going in and out of lockdowns in the future. I want to be able to build in some flexibility so that we don't get caught. You know, and there's a lot of aspects to this, but we don't get caught trying to catch up, you know, should something like this happen again. And then how do I expect to get that done? Honestly, it's going to be a lot of compromise. So there are going to be a lot of competing priorities. But I think my success so far in a lot of the business endeavors I've had has always been about setting a North Star, or just a vision for what I think we can be. And so my intent would be to work with the other board members and the community to say, let's develop a vision together. The last vision we've had together is a product called Envision Oak Park from 2014. And that clearly is going to need to get updated from this pandemic. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. I think your video just froze for a second, but I could hear you. Shayla, that was a great question. And Christine, thanks for your question too. Shayla, did you get your question answered? Okay, perfect. Yes, Stephen, I saw also that you're a part of Thrive Counseling. You're on the board. I was just curious what got you interested in that. It sounds like you're in the healthcare field.
Yeah. Thrive was a great opportunity to get involved as a locally with an area that's really important to me, which is sort of mental health and just healthcare in general. It's been fantastic to be able to see that organization go from really kind of teetering, not really having a lot of the support it it needed to be able to kind of start to grow, stronger and stronger each year. And part of that was also just figuring out what the strategy was and coming to compromise with a lot of the other board members as well as the executive director, right? And it takes time, right? You got to get to know people, and I think that's kind of the heart of this job too. As trustee or as any board members, like you just have to still be human.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else?
Yeah, so my question would be on what your plans would be to engage other, organizations within the community as a village representative, like engaging other community partners that may have, if there's a common initiative, how do you see yourself working with the other taxing bodies?
Yeah,
Library, township, and really I look at everything through a public health lens, prevention lens. So I just have some questions about how you see yourself, engaging with that.
So was your question more around the pandemic, or was it around?
Just, we talk about the future for our kids, just public, looking at things through a public health lens as well.
Yeah. So no, I'm glad you raised it. So this is something that I've had some discussions already with Sarah Spivey and others around. Is I think there's definitely some opportunities to start to get some economies of scale or buying power for the village and the other taxing bodies, so that we can start to drive down costs, which eventually we should find its way into lower tax levies in the future. So one of my hopes is that beyond the iGov, iGov is a intergovernmental body that is supposed to kind of discuss things that ways to work together. I think beyond that, I think we can just find some better ways that we can create some joint contracts, for like food service supplies, right, or for waste hauling, things that we, all the taxing bodies essentially need. And then figure out a way that we can extend some of those discounts to other businesses, residents, that would then reduce, as I said, the overall cost burden. I did actually, I was one of the board calls I had a couple days ago. We were talking about the response to COVID, and one of the interesting things you're seeing now with a lot of the stadiums are utilizing spaces to do vaccinations, right? So if we do end up finding ourselves, in a situation where we're going to need to do some mass vaccinations again, are there better ways to get vaccinations to people that need them in Oak Park? I think we've got a program right now that people drive through and get their vaccination through one of the parking garages. But could we use, facilities at the high school? Could we use, like some of the great churches, around town to help do vaccinations? So that's a whole separate opportunity there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sheila?
Question, Kelly. Sheila, did you have another question?
I did, but I wanted to make sure everybody else was heard first. I don't want to, hoard the conversation.
Anyone else?
If nobody else does,
before Sheila goes? I think we can't wait to hear your question, Shayla. I'm so
I don't even know if it's that good, but something I've been thinking about is in watching some of the board meetings and looking at the interactions between the trustees and the village president. Some of the meetings have been really contentious, and it makes me concerned about how are things being. Can we accomplish anything with people who can't figure out how to work together and people who can't figure out how to be respectful when they speak to each other? So I would like to hear your perspective on what you think the village board, some of the village board interactions have become, and what you think you could bring to the board if you were elected.
Yeah, well, I think hopefully you're seeing just by my demeanor now, like this is kind of what you'd see, there. I mean, I'm not overly emotional about issues, and not say that people on the board are overly emotional, but I tend to find like it's a great opportunity to listen to others. like to spend more time, and hopefully you're seeing this too as I'm talking, like I try to keep my comments relatively short, because I learn more from listening to others about what are the things that are important to them. And I intend, as a board member, to spend probably more time outside of the board talking to people and trying to get to understand their perspectives. One of the things I have coming out today, is realizing that I've got some blind spots. Everybody's going to be on the board is going to have some blind spots. So we need ways to reach out and get some of that that lived experience that we don't have. So that's one thing I would try to do. That's a great question. Thanks.
That was a great question. Definitely. Yeah, I think it's super important too, because there are so many different types of people who come from so many different walks of life. So you're absolutely right, Stephen. Just listening, I think, can be the most important thing. If no one else has a question, I have a really burning question. Today is National Pizza Day. And so I need to know, what is your favorite type of pizza? Like Chicago or Detroit style or Cincinnati style or New York style?
So before coming to Chicago, I lived a lot of different places, but I think, as you can tell from my comment before, I lived in New York. So I'm definitely a New York pizza kind of guy. And there's a certain pizza, Ray's Pizza, that I couldn't go without, especially around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So.
Is Ray's in New York or is Ray's here in Oak Park?
Ray's in New York. Ray's in
New York. Okay. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Great. Jenny, did you have a question? No.
No, I was just agreeing with the Rays. I lived in New York for a really long time. That's like the one thing we always come, my husband and I are like, where are we going to find that foldover? So we're always talking about that. We're trying to explain to the kids.
I literally got sent in to rescue Stephen. You got to get out of this room.
Oh, no. Did you send us a note?
We're waiting for you.
Okay.
Send him out.
All right. So,
All right.
Stephen, you have to leave the room.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Breakout room.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Talk amongst
Stephen.
yourselves. We'll get you another candidate shortly.
Sorry, guys. I don't know if I was supposed to send him out or if he was
I didn't
supposed
see
to.
that.
I probably should have. I was like, it seems like this is a long amount of time, but we have a great group here who asked a lot of great questions. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for coming and participating in this. I think it's just really, really important. So thank you all for joining. It's great. Yeah. I think we just get another one sent in, right, Jenny?
Yeah, we'll have one more. Another one.
So our next candidate should be Anthony Clark. He said that if he could be vaccinated, it would be against fake news. I think he's also a teacher at OPRF, or was previously. So just so that you guys know who's on deck, who's coming up next.
Sorry, no, I went back to the wrong room. Leave it. Bye, bye.
That's awesome. There we go.
Hi, Anthony. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. How we doing?
Good. I'm Emily. I'm your facilitator for this room.
Thank you so
we have a
much.
Great group of people here that have a lot of good questions, but I was just mentioning again that you wanted to be vaccinated against fake news. I thought that was really interesting. That's a good.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not trying to use, Trump's terminology, but misinformation, I think, throughout history has often led us astray, and led us to make incorrect decisions, which prevented us from bettering ourselves and bettering our community. So education is extremely important.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone have a question that they'd like to ask right off the bat to Anthony?
And I would like to say, I'm sorry before a question. If you all look in your chat, I just put in some ideas that I've been working on. This is not to say that, again, this is accurate, but just thought processes in regards to how to support small businesses and entrepreneurs in collaboration with Chamber and other stakeholders. So if you want, you could copy paste that, take a picture, but that just gives you some ideas of what I've been thinking about. So do y'all see that in the chat section from me? No, because it was.
It'll be a new chat probably each time.
Yeah, I think it was probably.
So let me see if I could post it now and see if you all see it. Do you all see it now?
Yeah, I
Awesome.
do. Do you
Awesome.
guys?
So you all could dig through that. And, again, I love to hear from individuals because true representatives listen. I don't know everything for sure.
Great. Thanks for sending that over. This looks awesome. I just have kind of a generic question, but as a business owner myself, so I'm a clinic manager of Center of Physical Therapy, kind of on the south end of Oak Park, and I'm just curious. I'm looking forward to ways of like continued growth. So where do you see Oak Park from a business perspective in a few years? Do you think there are going to be more physical locations? Are we going to do all e-commerce? Where do you see Oak Park going?
Definitely. I mean, first and foremost, again, I'm not a small business owner myself. My mother was actually the first small business owner I knew. She won a competition with Robinson's Ribs in the early 90s and started Blanchie's Pasta Sauce, which was sold in Jewel and Moo and Oink when it was open on the west side. But, I do run a nonprofit. But what I will say, based upon my experiences, talking to small business owners, I've developed a lot of relationships extremely this past year because SUA started a micro grant. So we've been issuing $500 micro grants to small businesses in need. And just listening and, doing my research and being a customer, there's a lot of nuance, right, in supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs. And from my perspective, small businesses were struggling prior to the pandemic, right? Of course, the pandemic has hit and has magnified and exacerbated the situation. But in the community of Oak Park, the specific question that you asked, from my perspective, Oak Park does not support small business, particularly at our governmental level, at the village level. I perceive the relationship to be adversarial when we should recognize that small businesses and entrepreneurs are truly the backbone of our communities, particularly small communities like Oak Park. Whether you're providing job opportunities, whether you're providing services. So Oak Park has not been doing a great job in fostering not only small businesses to survive, but also thrive. So whether we're talking about e-commerce or brick and mortar establishments, that's the first thing. We need to reposition ourselves as a village to place small businesses first. And when we do that, and when we start listening to small business owners, when we start hearing about your struggles, perfect example, I heard how for small business owners, particularly business owners of color and women business owners, how obtaining licensing can be extremely daunting and difficult. We know the tax issue in our community is extremely difficult. Understanding many of the codes that exist can be extremely difficult to navigate. So those are things that we need to look at and create a holistic approach to streamline and truly create a small business hub for small business owners and entrepreneurs where we're educating, where we're supporting. And how that looks in a sense is one of the ideas that I posted. We have a lot of vacant buildings and underused buildings in our community. Humboldt Park community, you can actually look this up. What they're doing with many of their vacant establishments are they're reaching out to up and coming and aspiring small business owners and entrepreneurs, and they're creating markets. So they're allowing these small business owners and entrepreneurs to kind of go to like a small business university. They go into these markets and they set up little booths and they sell their items. They interact with consumers and customers, and they get support in regards to educating them on, obtaining permits and licensing, in regards to coding and codes that exist in the community, whether they want to be e-commerce or brick and mortar. So I'm going to stop there because I know of time and we have other questions, but those are just some of my thoughts right now. Oak Park is not doing a good job, and if we stay on course, we're going to continue to lose small businesses, and we're definitely not going to have entrepreneurs in our community.
Yeah, I think that those are really great points, and it's super important in order to move forward to have entrepreneurs to create new ways of thinking about that too. So I do hope that Oak Park continues, maybe improves in a way to become a better place.
Definitely. I think we have the ability to do so. We just have to have the vision.
Yeah. Kelly?
Yeah, Anthony, I want to make sure you got everything in the chat that you wanted to be there. It looks like it got cut off a little bit, but maybe not. At the very
you know what? It may have. Let me check. Thank you for saying that.
Sure.
Or sharing that with me. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Just want to make sure we get what you wanted us to. And then my question would be to see what your vision might be for collaborating and working with other taxing body organizations in the community. How do you see yourself as a village trustee working with the township, the library, and the park district?
Definitely. In regards to the post, I think it's a cutoff. It may be a limit on what can be posted, so I'll
Okay.
check that later. And I'm
All right.
sorry. So based upon your question, taxing bodies, right? So at the village level, when we look at property taxes, which are a huge issue for homeowners as well as renters in our community, tax is a huge issue. I've struggled, throughout my life, trying to support my parents and trying to support myself and others to maintain and be able to remain in this community, not even as a business owner, just as a resident, correct? So the small business owners, that adds additional nuance. So I think we need to, again, for me, in my perspective, at this point, we don't have enough collaboration between the taxing bodies, whether it be the village, whether it be the D97, D200, and the township, so on and so forth. There's not a lot of back and forth communication and transparency in identifying best practices and policies and thought processes that could bring our community forward. So looking at that, we have to communicate better. I don't know everything. Again, I'm not here to present myself as a know-it-all, but what I'm here to do is present myself as somebody who wants to listen to individuals like you and wants to build bridges, similar to what I've been doing with my nonprofit, building bridges between Austin and Oak Park. We need to build bridges between the taxing bodies, because we know the tax issue is creating a lot of stress and anxiety on many of our community members and business owners, which causes small businesses to leave, which causes individuals to leave our community and move out of our community. So looking at that, I know our levy was at 3% this past year, but that's still a 3% increase. Looking at our D97 and D200, I work at D200 and I'm involved heavily. I think that's where a lot of I know the majority of our tax dollars go to the schools, D200 and D97. So we need to work with them. We need to talk with them. We need to build bridges and understand and identify how can we continue to improve our community and move forward, because of course, as a state, unfortunately, property taxes pay for our public educational system, so that we can't address that necessarily at the village level. But what we can do is build bridges and try to work together to identify how we can possibly alleviate, even to the slightest extent, many of the tax burdens that exist for small business owners and community members.
Great. Awesome. I think we have just a few minutes. Go ahead, Teresa.
I just wanted to thank Anthony. You've mentioned that you've brought that issue up many times over the years about how regressive property taxes are and the impacts that they have on families, on small businesses, on the fabric of the community. And I just want to thank you for having that as part of what you've advocated for many, many years. It is so important, that our different taxing bodies are sensitive to, how their work impacts families. Even, it doesn't matter if you're a homeowner or a renter or a small business owner. It's a serious impact. So I just want to thank you for that. And thanks for your answer just a moment ago, because that's
No, thank you.
Really
And again, I don't know everything, but I hope that I can identify the issues and then learn from individuals that are directly impacted by those issues, so I could be a true representative, not making decisions for myself, but the entire community.
and collaborate with these different taxing bodies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colleen, did you have a question? Or Christine? I just saw you guys.
Yeah, you can ask me anything. Don't be afraid now. I'm a tough cookie. I hope you all have seen that this past month or so.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Hey, Anthony.
How you doing?
Representing Carnival Grocery, who I know you met with within the last week. So
I am so excited about that. Oh my God. We have a collaboration coming up with Carnival Grocery that I'm extremely excited about.
So excited. So you obviously know some of the fight that they're in right now to save their business. And I'm wondering a little bit of a different question than maybe they've already talked to you about is, what role do you see in sort of the next phase of development for Oak Park? It feels like right now a lot of the development is big development and maybe a little bit at the expense of some of the small businesses.
Yes, I agree.
We'd love to see if there was a way to have development, but also development that actually elevates small business.
Definitely.
Evens the playing field. And so I'm just curious to see what ideas you have.
Definitely. And I actually just posted the rest of that. So I thank again, Kelly, for bringing that up earlier. So if you look in the chat, and I could talk about it as well, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, small businesses should have preference in our community. Small businesses should be placed first because, as I stated, small businesses and entrepreneurs are the backbone of our communities. I truly believe that. So if you look over at the chat, I could read a little bit. I believe that and again, I know the chamber does a lot of this work and I look forward to collaborating, is Oak Park should establish a preference for locally owned businesses and city purchasing and include clear definitions, goal setting, and reporting to ensure that their purchasing doubles as economic development. Also, again, this is, vision, right? But expand access to capital for small businesses as well. If we scroll up, there's some other things that you could look to: reorient economic development incentives. Economic development incentive programs disproportionately favor big companies. Instead of giving public dollars to big businesses, Oak Park should redirect these resources to foster local businesses. And I'll end with, it impacted me when I met with the owner of Carnival. And if you want to know, I'm like, it was like a trailer. I didn't even tell you what the plan is, but we're actually doing a community fridge. So my nonprofit, we're doing a community fridge at Carnival. So that's 24-hour access to food, addressing food insecurities that of course exist in our community and as well as surrounding communities. So we're looking forward to that being supportive of not only the people that are in need, but also Carnival. So it's like a working relationship.
Right.
But to know that, again, the cutbacks and the subsidies that are given to these large corporations, the new Pete's that is opening. Again, I'm not hating on Pete's, so on and so forth. I'm sure some people are looking forward to it. But $700,000, $800,000, how could that money have been reallocated to support Carnival and other local establishments that have been here, that are part of the fabric of our community and the soul of our community, that once Pete's arrives, they may not be able to survive? Let's be honest here. When you get those large corporations and businesses coming in, that's at the detriment oftentimes to our small businesses, particularly when we're not doing a true study on how, what the data looks like and how small businesses are going to be impacted. So that's just some of my ideas. Again, they're posted.
I got to send you back to the main room, but
I'm sorry
for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Hit leave the room and go back to the main room.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, last time I was just like staring, and then I was like, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher.
Get it together. Great. I knew that Pete's was coming, but I did not put 2 and 2 together, Christine, that would heavily affect Carnival.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? So Arthur, who has been in the grocery business for 25 years, actually hired myself and Jenny Shepard, who some of you may know, just to pay attention to what is going on. Like, he's a typical small business owner. It's just him. He doesn't have any partner or, he has store managers, but it's really been interesting to help him learn and keep up with all these things that directly impact his business. And that's why he had to hire, 2 of us to kind of help him with the messaging, but also just to follow along with the meetings and the documents. Like, I can't imagine how a small business, if it was just them, would actually be able to keep up with things that would directly impact. And that's just aside from the fact that the subsidized money, it just puts them in a completely unfair advantage. Unfortunately for him, I think it's a little bit too late. So if we had made these arguments 2 years ago, if he had known more about it, we probably would have had a better opportunity to stop it or to put something else there. But so now we're just trying to figure out how can we maybe develop some new ideas so that our new village elected officials can have better programs for small business retention. Because what's interesting is if you ask a variety of folks, everybody points the finger in different places on who owns small business retention. So it was very interesting to hear the OPEC EDC talk about that in the village, and the chamber, which the chamber does a great job, but retention is such a unique thing to each business that it's really kind of a beast.
Yeah. It's true. Hi, Wanda.
Hello.
Welcome to room 4.
Hi.
It's the best room, but I'm a little bit biased. My name's Emily. I'm just here to help facilitate, but thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Does anyone have any great questions that they'd like to ask Wanda before I launch into some questions?
Okay. Jay?
Can't
Say that
tell
one more
if
time.
everyone's frozen or if I am. I said I can't tell if I'm the one frozen or it's everyone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Well, I have asked a question each time, and at the risk of sounding redundant, but so I'm going to give someone else a chance to go, but that's going to be.
Marta, we haven't heard much from you, Marta Block or Kelly Fleming. I don't want to call you guys out, just saying we'd love to hear your questions if you have them, but either way, we're glad you're here if you just want to listen. Marta, I just had a quick question. I really loved reading a little bit about your bio and kind of why you're running, and from what I understand, you are a renter in this community. You're not a homeowner. And I think that that's really unique. I think that that's really cool because I'm a renter myself. And so I think it's important for renters to be represented as well. What made you want to run? What made you want to do this role, take on this role?
Well, a lot of people were running on issues that affect renters and Black people and equity. And a lot of people who run on those issues are usually championing issues that are not necessarily their own issues. Well, these are my issues. Like, I fight these issues because they're important to me. So equitable housing, affordable housing, inclusionary housing, those are all things that affect me directly. And not only that is that not only am I a renter, my parents were renters. So I grew up as a renter in a village, and my story is different from that of other people's, but my story is not unique. It's the story of 41% of people in Oak Park. So it was important to me to have someone at the table that not only looks like me, but earns the kind of money that I earn. So what's missing from that table is middle income families, hourly wage earners. Those people are out of the conversation. So you get just one group of people making decisions for all of people in Oak Park. And that's not what government should be, in my opinion. It should be inclusive. It should be everyone representing, the whole village to make decisions for our village. Well, that's why I decided to run, because I was doing it. So I was like, well, might as well be me. And I did wait for someone else to do it. Because this is not
well, good. I'm glad you did. It sounds like we needed you, so that's great. And I think it might segue into Kelly's question, if it's the same question, Kelly, about public health, maybe just making that connection.
Yes, it probably will be, but I apologize, Wanta. I have not read anything about your background, and so that would be part of it. It's just some of your previous experience and how that might be a fresh piece of fresh air for the board table.
Okay, so I'm Wanta Bennett Griffin. I've been in Oak Park since 1978. My parents moved here when I was 4 years old because it was told to be an inclusive place for multicultural families. My father's from Chiang Mai, Thailand. My mother is Black. We grew up on Austin. Well, I grew up on Austin. They were my parents, so they nurtured me on Austin. I went to Longfellow School, Percy Julian Junior High School in Oak Park River Forest.
You're a lifer.
Yeah, this is my village. I went on to Eastern Illinois University and Concordia University for my master's in early childhood education.
Okay.
So this is my my hometown, and I hope my children return here as well. My mom at 64 just recently bought her first property in Oak Park. So it's important for me that she is safe and that she is able to have sustainable housing here as well as a senior person. So
awesome.
Issues are important to me.
Thank you so much.
My brother lives here as well.
Thank you for sharing that. My question was, is how do you see yourself, at the village, working and collaborating with other taxing body organizations like the library, the park district, the township? We talk about duplicative services and collaboration, and what does true collaboration look like to you?
Well,
and how might you see yourself helping in that area?
I am the multicultural learning coordinator of the Oak Park Public Library, just so you know that. So I work at the library every day. I believe that that's what's missing from our government right now, right? From our board right now, is the collaboration, is utilizing our commissions, community engagement. Those things are important to give the government back to the people, to give it back to the village. Those things are important, to not make decisions in a vacuum or to not say this is how we're going to do it, to seek counsel from the experts, because we have hired experts at the village that we need to listen to. They're doing the work. So I would never make a decision alone or expect for the board to make any decisions that are not advised by people who have access to information that we may not have access to. So collaboration and community engagement are extremely important to me.
Thank you. And I did not know that. Like I said, I appreciate it and I apologize.
No, absolutely. And my husband's a teacher, so we're middle-income families, and it's important to keep middle-income families in Oak Park and not lose everyone to neighboring villages as well. So keeping Oak Park affordable, working with other taxing bodies, all of that is a part of
And
what.
aging, sounds like aging in place is important.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so many candidates have mentioned how important it is, you know, to have a better future for our children. But I do love your point that it's important to just be a safe neighborhood too for the people that live here, and for older adults as well. I mean, more and more, we're going to have more and more baby boomers that are out in the community and want to do lots of things, and we want them to stay safe and continue to interact in the community. So that's a great point. I think you bring up a really different point of view there. That's really great. Thanks. And you said you work at the library full time?
Yes. Yes, I am the multicultural learning coordinator. So
awesome.
You guys have seen any of the Kwanzaa presentations or videos that's kind of what I do. I started that 5 years ago, and it's been going strong at the library ever since. It started off with just me thinking that this is something that's important. We lost that when we lost a small business called Afriware to Maywood. So that was something that was missing. And I had to, someone had to pick it up. So even though I had been celebrating Kwanzaa with Afriware since I was a teenager, I was kind of scared, afraid to do it, but you know what, someone needs to do it, so it might as well be my family. So we started having Kwanzaa celebrations at the Oak Park Public Library. I also do the Uniquely UT Party, which is a social emotional workshop for Black girls ages 8 to 11. We also do lunch at the library for our homeless population and our children also who require lunches while they're working at the library, and breakfast at Breakthrough. So just having community programming, seeing a need in our community and just filling it. I somehow at times don't like to discuss these things because I don't like to politicize the work that we do. Because I don't do these things because, hey, look at me, I'm a great person, please elect me. We just do them because there are people who have needs that are greater than my own. And if we're able to fill those needs, we should as a community. And that's what government should be like too. It should be service and not power, and not about real estate. It should be about people serving people in a community that works together, making sure that the least of us are taken care of.
Hi, Wanta. Therese Jurgis here. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. You also work, you're, I think, the chair for the multicultural event from District 97. You've done
Yes,
that for a number of years as well. Those are always amazing. And so thank you for all your work with that. But, Kelly, you asked the question I always want to ask, which is how to collaborate with our other taxing bodies and make sure that, we're all sharing ideas and best practices. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do because we elect different taxing bodies to do different things. But I appreciate, Wanta, that you're looking to bring your collaboration, your ability to collaborate to the village board and work with the other taxing bodies and collaborate. It's always a goal, but it's an elusive goal. It's really hard to do.
It is, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I do think, Wanta, you're, not downplaying what you do, because that is, that's like your fiber. That's what's going to be helpful. And, I have been at many meetings. We talk about it, 10 years in the running here, and it's, working in silos and collaborating. And that goes for businesses too. So, our taxing bodies are more or less a business. And so I think it is important to, to show that part, because that's you, and that's helpful. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Great. I think that is actually all the time that we have. Wanta, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to have to just go back to the main room and we'll wait on our next candidate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Great. Awesome. I thought she was really great. I don't know if you guys are looking to facilitate a discussion here at all, but I was just really impressed with her. She seems different than most people. One of my questions that I had written down that I haven't asked yet is, do you consider yourself a public servant or a politician? And I feel like the people we've seen so far, I already get a sense for that, and I don't need to ask that question. I think Wanta is a perfect example of a public servant who is very humble and doesn't even want to say all the great things that she's doing, which is pretty cool.
And
I really appreciate that she's running and bringing her experience to the board.
And I love hearing, I mean, I didn't do all my homework, so I feel like I'm really getting to know the candidates really well, just on a personal and a more business-like matter. So this discussion has been really great in that way, so that we get the whole spectrum.
I agree. It's really nice to have this more personal approach to,
Yeah.
Instead of being in an auditorium listening to people just talk at you. So this has been great. And I'm sorry if I interrupt. I think there's a delay on my end, so I apologize for stepping over your words, Therese. I've done that several times. But
Don't worry about it at all.
Go back to, Shayla brought up a really good point. She mentioned something to Stephen, I think, about, civility. How do we bring civility back to that table? Because, talk about an environment that just is conducive to toxic behavior. It's, I think it's, bringing that back, not just to there, but to the community as well. So thanks for asking that.
Our next candidate is going to be Ravi. Ravi is the one who said he would like to be vaccinated against ignorance and negativity, which is pretty cool. He also said he was fine experiencing anything once, which I thought was a creative answer. So he is our next one that should be coming in soon. Have you guys all lived in Oak Park for a long time?
I moved in 72, so I'm kind of an old timer.
Yeah, well, you're brand new. Sounds like you're very fresh. Hi, Ravi.
Hi,
I'm Emily. I just asked the question to everyone if they had lived in Oak Park for a long time. And
Okay.
Therese said she had been here since 72. So she
Wow.
basically was just born here.
I think I see familiar names. Hi, Teresa.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So Ravi, thanks for being with us tonight. I
Thank you.
just have a question to kind of kick us off, and then if people have questions after that, they can definitely ask as well. What are the 3 top most important issues to you in your time as a trustee? Like, what are going to be the 3 most important things that you'd like to work on in the Oak Park community?
So, in no particular order, but economic recovery from the pandemic, good transparent government, responsive governance, and third is sustainable and equitable community. So all 3 of them are important, and I bring with me a lot of experience addressing all these 3 from a corporate standpoint, as well as personal experiences around this. So those 3 would be the ones that I'll focus on. And I'm happy to answer questions or go into details on any one of those.
Hi, I'd like to hear more about your views on an equitable community and like what specifically you think that looks like and how you could implement it. Thank you.
Cool. Actually, before you turn off your microphone, so if you can help define equity from your perspective, then I can, talk a little more.
I actually think you should define it so that we can understand your platform. You tell me what equity means to you.
So, okay. So my definition of equity would be, people have, equal opportunity and equitable or, unbiased access to, resources that the community has, right? So making sure that everybody can participate in this community the same way, in a similar fashion, without bias. So that is roughly
Equal
where I would put,
opportunity.
yeah, equal opportunity and equal access to resources that the community has to offer, or similar or proportionate access to opportunity, however we want to, whatever term we want to use. And I feel that the opportunity, giving that opportunity is where the problem is. I think currently the debate that I see happen on social media, is at one level of equity, and I think the problem is a lot deeper than that. Whether you take housing and taxation and why people are getting pushed out and why Oak Park is less affordable. There are lots of different things to unpack in what we drive from an equity standpoint. So I don't think a 30-second answer or a 1-minute answer will do justice to it. But what I would say is there is a lot of carefully holistic thinking around policy that does not have unintended consequences is where I would at least start the whole conversation, because it is all linked, whether it is taxation or housing or policing, and all these aspects are linked. So I would take a step back and look at what the goal is ultimately. If equity is what we're looking for, what are all the things that touch that, and figure out what policy proposals you need to bring to address that in a holistic fashion, not in a piecemeal fashion, but holistically. I don't know whether that answers your question, Shala, but that's my attempt.
Great. So in terms of your economic recovery, Ravi, or your ideas around that, can you put it into terms specifically business-wise? I mean, do you see, we had mentioned, one of the candidates had mentioned something about there wasn't great retention of some of the Oak Park small businesses. Do you have any ideas on how to improve that?
Yeah. So I would take the example of Takeout 25, right, which is very consistent with my economic philosophy. And what that is I'm trying to create a micro market, a market that is focused around a specific geography or a community. I'm giving it specific characteristics of, it still has competition, it still has customer choice, but then you're allowing the community to spend consistent with its values to support the local businesses. So it is basically giving the community an opportunity to come together and come closer to its business community, because it's important that the community knows these businesses, the local businesses, which are the backbone of the community, not just as a business name, but as people, as individuals who own that, as neighbors, as people who work there who are also our neighbors. So it is basically creating that kind of an environment where the small businesses can really thrive with the support of the local community. And also we have to be very conscious in terms of what kind of businesses we want in Oak Park, because retail, for the most part, the landscape is changing very quickly. The pandemic is just pushing retail in new directions. So we need to really think about what kind of businesses we actually want in Oak Park that have a longer horizon, so that have a shot at surviving. So we need to have policies that actively attract those kind of businesses as well. So that's one side of the equation. The second thing is that I was looking at, and I recently put a policy proposal out there for, you guys can take a look at it on my website for details. But again, there is an idea there that I put around high-speed internet, and it addresses affordability, equity, and small business recovery with just one idea in terms of making internet more affordable. And Shaila, to your point, that'll be one of those things, right? So where internet is the access to opportunity in my mind. At this point, there is a huge digital divide in the community. So giving people access through the internet to the opportunities, to commercial opportunities, to educational opportunities, all of that is important. So how can you make the access to internet cost effective for everybody in the community so that everybody can thrive? So that is from an equity standpoint. Now, small businesses, if let's say we can differentiate from Oak Brook or Elmhurst or whatever, saying that come to Oak Park and you don't have to pay for internet, or you give small little incentives that make a big difference for a small business trying to open up here, that differentiates Oak Park. That way you can attract the right kind of businesses as well, right? So that is just one idea. but there just should be more ideas like that. And then, actively marketing Oak Park as a combined entity, as a community, to the business sector and to visitors, so that there is more business flowing in and there is more business activity in Oak Park. Plus, there is more people willing to invest in Oak Park. I'll pause there.
Great. Just a little follow-up. What do you see as a type of business that will have a longer horizon? Like you were mentioning, retail might not be a great landscape for us to have. What types of businesses do you see as being better for our community?
So one area that I'm really passionate about, and I serve on the Energy and Environment Commission, and I'm on the Climate Action Planning team, but I really feel like sustainability is an area where Oak Park has an opportunity. Let's say Oak Park creates an incubator for green jobs. Now, Biden administration is committed to spending $3 trillion in the economy to transition to a greener economy. So how can Oak Park take advantage of some of that to create that incubator to build businesses, but also to involve the youth, right? So the next generation will come in and participate in that green economy. And it's not just for our youth, but in neighboring communities. How can we attract people from neighboring communities who can come in and participate in that, get trained, and be able to get green jobs going forward? How can Oak Park become a hub for this entire area in terms of being able to do that? By doing some forward thinking in terms of how things are going to play out, where do you make that investment? So that entire space, I think it's an open field for us to really take advantage of and offer a lot of opportunity to people across all socioeconomic backgrounds to come in and participate and benefit from.
Great answer. Thank you. Anyone else have any specific questions?
Kelly, Marta. Colleen. Oh, hey, Jenny.
Hi, how are you? We just wanted to get to know you a little bit better. I know your stances and whatnot, so thanks for sharing all that information with us. But I guess generally, why are you running?
Good question. So I came from the other side of the planet. I grew up in India, and I came to the US 17 years back, about 14 years back to Oak Park. And the way I got to Oak Park is I was living in Detroit, and I was planning to move to Chicago, and I knew I'll be traveling, so I picked the map, picked a spot between the two airports in downtown, and that happened to be Oak Park. So I called up the Regional Housing Center and said, and I'm coming down for a weekend. Can you guys set me up with a few rental properties to look at? And I came down, saw, and my first rental started in Oak Park through the Regional Housing Center back in 2006. And since then, I've really grown to enjoy Oak Park as a community. My family loves it. I've got a multicultural family, so we feel very welcome here. And in 2016, I became a U.S. citizen. I stood in the line and became a U.S. citizen. And from that point onwards, I've been trying to have a local impact, because my work has typically been across the globe, but you never get to see the benefits of your actions. I wanted to make sure that I'm having a local impact. So I started volunteering with the Energy and Environment Commission and some boards, local nonprofit school boards and things like that. And I felt that the commission work, commissions are being underutilized. Oak Park has got a lot of talent, but the commission structure was underutilized. So I felt, where can you really have the next level of impact? And it pointed to the board. And then I got a call asking me to see if I would like to run. And I took a long, hard look at our macro environment, and I felt like I really can contribute. I can contribute to the economic recovery. I've got a background, a personal background, which allows me to have a conversation about divisive issues like race relationships from a different point of view. At least, hopefully I can make a difference in terms of facilitating that conversation in a more meaningful manner than we've been having the last several years. So there are all these different aspects that kind of came together for me, and I decided this is the right time, and I should put my hand up. And also I firmly believe that to be included someplace as an outsider, you need to be involved. And this is my attempt at being involved in this community that I care about.
Great, Robbie. Thank you so much. I think our time is up right now, so I'm going to have you go back to the main room, but I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time as well. Nice talking to you. So Emily, it just says leave room. I think I should get a leave breakout room option as well, right?
Just
leave. Just go ahead and leave the room.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I hope so. Somewhere in the abyss. It just occurred to me that probably a lot of you guys are here because you are business owners or a part of a business. Do you guys just want to say a quick little tagline of like what your business is and what that represents here and what, you know, just so we can know what's important to you if you want to?
Sure. You can see my name there. I'm a commercial real estate broker with Baird & Warner. So I work with all independent small business owners and very much listening to see how the different candidates will be able to help. These are local families that own these businesses, our neighbors. So
awesome.
Trying to listen to see how they can be supported.
Thanks. Hi, Chapike.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? I'm Emily, nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, Emily. Nice to meet everyone.
We were just doing a quick little we were trying to get to know each other as well, and just, you know, in the business community and things like that.
Don't let me stop you.
I think we want to get to know you though. That's why we're here. So kind of segueing into that, do you have any specific plans for helping small businesses recover after this you know, crisis with the pandemic? I know my business personally, we closed for 2 months. Luckily, we were approved for the PPP loan, but it was something that we had to figure out ourselves. And there wasn't really an easy way for someone to just say, hey, here's how you do it. Here's where you apply. Do you have any ideas of how to make it easier for small businesses to stay afloat?
Yeah, I think we need to, we definitely need to take more action, and we need to see if there's a possibility that we can start to take advantage of more grants. Similar to the grant, like the grant you saw them give to that pizza that's coming to Oak Park, that grant was available to businesses here in Oak Park that could have been divvied up amongst businesses. We could have said, hey, you know what? How do we use grants like these? How do we apply for more federal assistance in our times of need rather than taking on debt? And if we are going to take on debt, can Oak Park offer a small capital loan, a small interest loan to Oak Park businesses to help small businesses stay afloat, if that's what that shortstop needs to be? But I do think that there are diverse ways that we can make it a lot easier for small businesses in the future, so that if this does continuously, I mean, COVID's not gone, so it's still going to be here. We are going to continue to do business in Oak Park. So if we are going to allow things and structures like that Pete's to come in to Oak Park, it needs to come in at a cost that makes sense, and that Oak Parkers are working together to say, hey, what can we do working together? What can we get? What can most benefit us Oak Parkers if we bring this here? Is there a way that we can impose a tax on this business so that, hey, we get X amount of dollars for our small business community because you are going to negatively impact them around you, or positively, but still, I think that we do need to make sure that we are taking a tax out on things like that when we know in the surrounding area, like what's happening in the Carnival and Sugar Beets, where they're going to be negatively impacted because of having that Pete's within that area. And when you do have those type of things, what is the thought process that goes into it? Did you do an economic plan? Did you actually go around and see how this would impact those businesses closest by? And that always needs to be the lens that we look at these things moving forward, especially for small businesses, is, hey, we want to bring in more diverse businesses. We want to bring in equitable businesses to Oak Park. How do we do that? Do we have a commission put together to say, hey, we're going to work together with this commission and with community engagement to make sure that we get this X, Y, and Z businesses into Oak Park in the next couple of years, because this is what we need. We need to make sure when we do bring businesses that it doesn't cannibalize our area, that we don't have 6 gyms next to each other or 5, you know, all these types of things that that run counterintuitively with each, that don't work together. But if there is cohesion, that we can exploit that and make sure that we're bringing in the businesses that can thrive in Oak Park and that we can help them thrive in Oak Park. So there needs to also be a person within, I think, our village office that is just solely dedicated to small businesses, to make sure that they have the proper knowledge to help navigate Oak Park business owners to know, hey, here's where you need to go. Here's a portal that we created. This is all you need to know about doing small business here. We actually have programs set up. We have these incentives. If you have a business and you own the brick and mortar location, we have sustainability grants that you can get. We have all these other routes that are going to help you to become more sustainable and be able to be a business that's going to last here for a longer period of time. So I think that's a long-winded answer, but I think that there's a lot of steps that go to this, and I have a lot of ideas. I've worked with small businesses for a long time, so I get very passionate about this, and I want to see all these small businesses thrive because it's you're given right to want to do better. And you know, I cherish and love the fact that people want to be their own boss. You know, you want to feel like you don't have to answer to anybody, and I am in control of my own destiny. And that's what I always learned from working with my small businesses, is they wanted to be empowered. They wanted to be able to control their future and wanted to say, hey, this is the day that I'm retiring, not I've got to shut down my business.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like maybe you could even be the small business liaison too, from the trustees, and obviously more with the Oak Park Chamber of Commerce as well. I think that's a role that we play too, is helping people know what opportunities there are. And I think if we work more closely with the trustees, that would be a great thing as well.
Yeah, I completely agree.
For sure.
Okay, I've been really quiet and I apologize. This is Kelly Fleming. But I didn't realize what our format was going to be. But anyway, I have a question.
Go for it.
You didn't know I've been quiet. Tell me, as far as you as a candidate, how do you stand out from the rest of the candidates for this position?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think we all have our own uniqueness. I think for me, I come from what do you call it? Sorry about my camera. A Swiss Army knife kind of background, and knowing a lot of different things. I have a very different background than most people. I worked for Motorola. I worked for AT&T for a number of years. I started my own business. I've done so much. I worked for Getty Images. I've done a lot of different jobs, but I've also done a lot of managing. And throughout that managing and throughout all those different hats that I wore for AT&T and, you know, nationally for Motorola, it allowed me to understand things from the big side of corporations, but also from the small business side, because that's where I started for my first 6-7 years with small business. So I always had an ear and a tune to the small business heartbeat. And it really does set me apart there. But I think also I'm very invested in Oak Park. I've lived here for over 30 years. I'm living out the dream that, you know, my parents showed me, you know, when they said why they came to Oak Park. It just kind of gave me this passion for wanting to do the exact same thing. They have my family here. It's a place that I just can't see, you know, thrive. I don't want to not see the Oak Park thrive. I want to see this be the best place it possibly can be. And I want it to be a place that's full of opportunity, but that continues to be diverse and inclusionary, that we are bringing in people that want to live that same dream and have those same opportunities. So I know that I'm set apart, not just because of being a lifelong Oak Parker or being somebody that thinks with innovation, but it's because I can work very well with people. I listen. I love to understand and then react. I want to know what the tune is of our small business community. I want to know where people are hurting the most, because I want to know, okay, this is where it is. This is where we can become a more creative. Here are some ideas. Here is where this has worked. Here are people that we've talked to. How do we move out of the rut that we're in? Because we cannot continue to be stagnant. Like, we're already losing time now by not helping our small businesses. And small businesses make up the fabric of what America is supposed to be. So if we don't start to do this quickly, it's going to diminish, and we can't rely on other people to bail us out. We've got to do it ourselves. And it starts with our board, you know, having faith in our small businesses here and putting our money where our mouth is, and making sure that we're holding our small businesses up. It's not just a tagline. It needs to be something that we're actually putting action to.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. It's so good to hear from you too. I'm glad that you're there. It's so nice. Shamika, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I think, unfortunately, our time is up, but I've really enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you, and good luck in your running.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure seeing you all. Take care and enjoy your families. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to continue on with your little small business plug or humble brag for the day? Nobody?
Come on.
Come on, Shayla, you got something. Come on. You got a humble brag about something. Yeah?
I have no small business. I just came because this was like one of the first forums that I saw for all of the trustee candidates, and some I'm very familiar with and some I haven't met at all. So I was like, oh, this is my chance. I mean, I know there'll be more, but I wanted to come. So I don't have any small business. The best I do is make cocktails for friends. So you guys may have seen me like in a mask earlier because I was juicing lemons to make a cocktail for some friends. So I had to put my mask on and then take my mask off. But that's all I have. No business.
That's a great brag.
Yeah, that's a great. I'm jealous.
Thank
I wish we
you.
were all in person, so
Yeah.
we could share in those with you. That would be nice. I think we're just waiting on one more candidate. Again, my name's Emily. I'm from the Oak Park Chamber of Commerce Board. I'm a physical therapist and clinic manager of Center Physical Therapy. So if any of you have any orthopedic needs or random questions, I'm happy to answer them. I have a lot of people, older patients, they'll call me and they'll say, Emily, I think I screwed up my knee. What should I do? And I'm like, well, I think you should do this. And, you know, ice it first, then stretch. If that's not going to work, then you can actually come in without a doctor's prescription. So just direct access is a thing, which is pretty cool, because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to deal with the doctor. It's too much. Like, I don't know. That's a whole hassle. But
Emily,
we can make it a lot easier.
Where's your offices?
Yeah, we're on 207 Harrison. So right around the corner from Buzz Cafe, if you guys are familiar with Buzz. Yeah. So
Do
not,
you
yeah, we've been here
kids
since
to adults? Is that what everybody?
Yeah,
everybody
my
in between?
youngest,
I love it.
my youngest patient was 5. He was so fun. And then my oldest patient was 94, I think, here. So we see it all. Anybody and everybody.
Love it. Good to know.
Yeah. We should just be getting one more candidate. Our last one, Lucia.
Robinson?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Just waiting on her. Kelly, are you part of a small business at all, or Colleen?
Colleen, do you want to go? Okay. I actually, I work with the Oak Park Township. And we have a drug-free communities grant. So I'm the drug-free coalition coordinator. And I also do an alcohol and drug education program for youth who come through either adjudication or for referral. So I'm very much about collaborative partnerships with other agencies, and I've lived in the park for 25 years.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really great. Hi, Lucia. Welcome. My name's
Hi, everyone.
We were all just doing a little humble brag, small business note, just about ourselves to get to know each other better. But we're so excited you're with us here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Lucia Robinson. I'm a longtime Oak Parker. My family and I moved to Oak Park as I was entering middle school. I grew up in South Oak Park, moving here from Chicago's Little Village neighborhood, which is just east and south of Oak Park. So it's one of the largest Mexican-American communities outside of a major city, really in the country. And so I grew up here, went through the school system here, and then in 2007, my husband and I returned here from the East Coast, settled in Northeast Oak Park with our children, and we've been here since then. My oldest actually teaches at the high school. And so we've had just this very long, sort of multi-layered relationship with Oak Park. And so, it's helped sort of create very deep roots for me in this community.
That's great. Where in South Oak Park? Because that's where my clinic is close to. At least that's what I'm told, that this is the South Oak Park area. I'm just around the corner from Buzz Cafe. I don't know if you were close to there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I grew up on the 800 block of Clarence. It's right across from Ascension.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, sure. Great.
Yeah.
Do you have children that did you have children that went to Ascension?
No, so my children, because we settled in Northeast Oak Park, we're a Hatch family.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I went to Ascension and my siblings did, but my own children did not.
My kids went to school there, so that's why.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like its own little community within the community.
Yes.
Awesome. Does anyone have any specific questions?
Hi, Lucia. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Hi.
I'd like to know more about what inspired you to run and what your priorities are.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that question. So my children are actually older now. My youngest is a junior at OPRF. And so as they were sort of all, leaving the nest and in the process of still doing it, one of them is at least, I knew that I was going to have a greater bandwidth to do something that I had always wanted to do, which was just to become involved in village government. I didn't know, I sort of started thinking along these lines about a year ago, and I didn't know exactly what form I wanted that to take, but I knew that I was moving into a phase of life where I certainly was going to have the energy and the time and the resources to sort of sit in a governance type position. And probably right around the time that we sort of started to get in the thick of COVID, I just thought, okay, so we're struggling here, right? As a community, as a country, individually, and as families. And so it really put that desire on my heart even more. And so I just sort of said, I opened myself up to the possibility of, sort of serving in some capacity. And probably about a week after I just really made that very firm decision, a current board member, Simone Boutet, actually called me and said, what would you think about running for village board? And so I do believe that when you sort of put your intentionality out into the universe and the universe gives you an answer, you have to take it. And so, so I did, sort of watching board meetings, sort of did my due diligence about what would be required to be a sitting board member, and slowly came to, to the point where I thought this is really what I need to pursue right now.
Great. It's like a calling. That's always a nice thing to have.
Well, it hasn't felt like a calling every day, I will say that.
Sure.
But it's funny. I did an interview in December. All the candidates did. I think it's gonna be released soon. But as I was sort of talking to the interviewer as we were getting ready for it, and he was telling me the candidates that he had already interviewed and was about to interview, I just thought, this is amazing to be able to run in this community among this group of candidates. And I, I'll just speak to my fellow candidates for a second here. We all come with amazing qualifications and skills and ability. And even among us, there's just this amazing amount of diversity. And so the fact that I get to be a part of that is just it's a huge privilege, in my opinion. I am very much honored to be among this group of candidates. And, you know, I understand we're not all going to win, right? 3 of us are going to win, 3 of us are not. And I get that. But I still think that, you know, it's still appropriate to really recognize that this is really a great group of candidates running in the midst of a pandemic and trying to just sort of figure it all out, right? None of us are current board members, so every single person sitting in that seat is going to sort of be a rookie trustee. And, you know, we've all said, I'm sure, you know, with the help of our families, committed to this process. And you know, it's a pretty neat thing to be part of.
It was really cool. And you're the last, you're our final person that we get to talk to, the final candidate. And it has been quite exciting to talk to everybody. And you're right. I think all of you have great abilities and are highly qualified. So it's going to be whoever we end up voting for, it's going to be fantastic, I think, for sure. I have one specific question about, I was just wondering if you could expand on some of the principles that you had mentioned in your campaign website, specifically about climate change and being inclusive with decision making. Did you have any like specific goals you were working towards with climate change?
Yes. So, you know, I'd love to see that we've got sort of a almost $2+ million fund for environmental sustainability, and I'd love to see that used, right? That sort of money that's just sitting there. I don't know if anybody's aware, but at the board meeting this week, there was a proposal to use probably about 1/4 of that money for Green Alleys project. And so I was really watching very intently to see how the board would vote on that. And they, I was happy to see that they voted against it, only because I think it's important to preserve that money as much as possible. And, you know, I'll spare all the details of why I thought that was the right decision. You know, I think there was some uncertainty about how that money would be put back, and, you know, the next budget turn is probably going to be pretty intense. And so to have that additional burden would be really tough. And so I'd like to get the data that we need to put those dollars to work. And so that's my answer to your first question. And then I'm sorry, can you repeat the second part?
Yeah, the second question was, you had specifically said something about being inclusive with decision making. So how would you define that in decision making?
Yeah. So one of the ways that I would define that is so that's
1 minute warning. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. So we've got a great resource of citizen commissions, private interest groups, lots and lots and lots of experts in the village. I'd like to pull that expertise into a lot of our board discussions, and not that they have to attend the meeting, but certainly we've got just in this community a great muscle of expertise. I'd like to include them more as we gather data, information, and then ultimately go to the decision-making process in as best a position we possibly can with as much great information we possibly can for almost anything.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, Lucy. I really appreciate it. Everyone, it was great having you in this room. I hope to see you in person at some point. That would be wonderful. But I think we're all coming back together for a little bit for a quick recap. So thanks again.